Good morning. You should hear that. You should hear that. I should have done everything right. Everything should be good. Let me just put that on top. Good morning, all. Welcome to today's show. Today is Friday, June 4, 11 a.m. Katua time, Clontasca Mountain, in the southern Bio-Appalachian region. You know, we did that show on George versus George. Someone tell me you got audio. Someone give me a text. Nope. Maybe not. Maybe you don't have audio. Let me make sure. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Let's see. I bet you can. I'm just going to keep going. We did a talk about the George versus George. Thank you, Gordon Goodman. We just did an episode on George versus George, right? The George Washington versus King George. His lady friend, Carolina, completely renamed about, I don't even think you could count. I'm just going to throw out 30, at least 5 bioregional nations in North Carolina. And probably so many more in South Carolina, I don't think you could count. Because if you start to count all the mound cities, all the villages, you can't hear me? Can't hear you. Fuck. Yeah, normally I get a text. It sounds good. Amel, sums up, Amel. I think that might be you. Yep. Maybe try and refresh. So, good morning, Get It Fussed. It's all been renamed. All of it. I think that it would take us years to reawaken the land. I say years because I think that you have to start putting the names back into the salt, into the mind. Carolina is not a name that was ever known in America. Never. It was brought from England. Literally, ladies, close your ears. Close your ears, ladies. It's literally named for Snatch. Literally named for, hey, baby. Guess what I did? Oh, what did you do, George? I named the Carolinas. Oh my God! I guess I must give it up now. And it's part of the difference we see in eugenics. Yeah, that if you can name a land after a chick, it's kind of like those Diamond Jarrett commercials where it's like you pretty much have to. It's kind of like that kind of thing. And I'm bringing that up now because I want you to realize that most of this is actually flipped. That's right. Most of this is flipped. Now, guys, you've seen me tell you before. What about Georgia? Exactly, Steph. You're looking at it. If you look at Alabama, I can't wait to show you this. If you look at Alabama, in the center of Alabama, there's a tiny heart, and that's called Alabama. And surrounding that was the Cherokee was in like the top northeastern part. There was the Cohutta, and then the Kawasaha. Guys, I don't know this either. I'm trying to wake up the landy. All of us are. I implore you, find out what the name is of your area, and don't get all Andy Kaufman on me. Be like, it's technically not Rhinebeck. It's the postal code of Denbury or something. Don't just find the name that resonates with you, and say, yeah, I'm from Clontasca or Katua, or whatever it is, and just feel it. It's the same reason why I say Katua time. Eastern time, no. Eastern would mean that you were no longer in the center, that now you're east. No, Katua is actually, this is the oldest mountains in the world. Sit down, Tibet. We're fucking older. Just because you're high doesn't mean you're old. It just means you think you're old because you're so freaking high. I was high all the time. I'd be like, dude, I'm really old. Okay, I get high a lot, and I'm pretty old. But I don't talk about it on TV or live stream. I guess I'm talking about it right now. This is a very hypocritical pit I'm entering into right here. This is a very hypocritical pit. Since we're entering into hypocritical pits, let's just play this.
If you were to be stranded on a desert island, and you had to bring one product with you, a skincare product that you might really love, what would it be?
Some sunscreen.
There we go.
Welcome to the YouTube town hall on COVID-19 vaccination with President Joe Biden and Dr.
Those are not
Anthony
my birds.
Fauci.
Those birds
My
were
name is
fake.
Karine Jean-Pierre, and I'll be hosting these conversations that we're going to have today. Now, listen, we are doing this today because we wanted to partner up with some of your favorite creators to have a conversation about the importance of getting vaccinated. Let's get started with our first conversation, Manny Mua.
Manny Mua, can you hear me?
How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Doing fine. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you guys so much for doing this with me. I really, really appreciate it. You guys are absolutely great. I have a couple questions for you guys. There's a lot of rumors that are going around that young and healthy people don't need to get the vaccine. You should save it for people who are a little bit older. What do you guys think about that? Both of your guys' thoughts.
Young children, even though when they get infected, it's unlikely that they would have a serious disease compared to an elderly person or a person who has an underlying.
I want you to feel. I'm not going to play this again. I don't want to torture you. I might actually play it again, but I want you to feel. I want you to feel the eugenics. I need you to feel that right now because we're talking about the opposite of King George and Caroline. We're talking about a systemic corporate-wide eugenics program that's been alive for a long time. And this entire month, the Pride Month, is just one example of that.
If
Just
you were to
one.
be stranded on a desert island and
See if I can skip ahead here so you don't have to hear that again.
You can go to get a vaccine, you can get it quickly. And you know what? Uber and Lyft have come along and they've said that for the end of May all the way through to July 4th, anybody who calls them, they'll pick them up, take them to a vaccine site, wait for them and take them back. That's a big deal.
that's amazing. Honestly, that's incredible. I love that they did an initiative like that. I feel like that's absolutely amazing and so responsible of them. You know, for my last question.
It's absolutely amazing and so responsible of them. He's going to ask Biden. Here's the comments have been turned off on this video. 6.2K thumbs up, 44,000 thumbs down. Let's see what Manny's want. His name's Manny. His name is Manny. He's going to ask Biden his one question, his opportunity to ask the one question.
If you were to be stranded on a desert island and you had to bring one product with you, a skincare product that you might really love, what would it be?
Some sunscreen.
There.
I don't think that any of you should be mad or upset by anything that I'm talking about, and B, even the eugenics program that's running deep, because you were watching. To even explain all the chemical psyops that are running together in this perfect symphony would take so long that I don't think you would watch me anymore. I think you'd realize, yeah, this just isn't even worth it. And I don't normally even insert this kind of circuitry, but I need you to understand why there is a Pride Month. That's all. And I want you to understand that it's not even cruel. I would argue that Pride Month and the AIDS story, call it that, have been some of the most safe and effective eugenics campaigns that we've seen. And not once does anyone have to take a needle. Not once. And that they rolled that out first a long time ago. And it worked to a degree, but it didn't work to the levels that they wanted it to. They wanted to turn up the volume on the pressure washer, and that's what you see now. But you have to really, really, really respect all the work that has gone into pedestalizing this phenomenon, this entire idea that, well, let's look. Where's the definition there, James? Where is that? Pride. There it is. If you Google pride, you see the normal stuff, which is like, a feeling of deep pleasure and satisfaction. I want you to notice, by the way, that there's not one sense of self-worth mentioned in here. It's actually, conscious of one's one dignity. I'm going to give him that one. But if you look down at the third there's now a third definition. There's a third definition for pride, and it involves the letters LGBT, and it involves a public event, typically a parade, held to celebrate LGBT identity, culture, and experience. So that is the third definition now of pride in the human archetype. You could say, well, that's not my definition, James. Hey, you and I both know who owns words, but you also know where the collector is for what these new words are. Collector. Most of the people that are administering vaccines now are the people that regurgitate better than anyone else. They're the ones that have memorized. They have shown through a intelligence quotient test that they are able to regurgitate at the fastest rate possible. But James, it's problem solving. It's actually not. If you look at what a problem solving solution is, it is solving for a maze, which is simply the elimination of possibilities. It's a systemic elimination of possibilities. That's not intelligence. I understand that we're calling that intelligence. In fact, I would like to argue that Mensa is probably one of the largest hilarious psyops in the world. When you're watching a collector like that, at its full power, you have to respect that kind of collector. What do I mean by collector? Pretending that this entire time there's been a secret underground Nazi war against homosexuality is a collector. It's a collector. It's collecting victims. And I don't mind raping people's victimhood, but the victimhood that I'm about to rape, most of the people are going to enjoy this. And so it's not going to be effective. Because the collector that's been laid out is oppression. And the only way to eliminate that oppression circuit from you is to have it raped, to have it removed from you without your consent. To remove your victimhood is to suddenly show it to you as a collector, as a farce, as an ability for you to collect prana, virtue, Olympics, right? These terms are not new. And I've been guilty of shaming them for too long because the prana economy is still legit. There is nothing wrong with wanting attention. There is nothing wrong with placing your collector outside like any flower would stick its stamina out and collect bees. Collect the collection through the secretion of pollen. To collect is to have an asynchronous connection with something else in hope that you have a conditional kind of thing that you and I call love. But pride preaches unconditional love. And I would argue, and I don't even know if we'll get this today, I would argue that unconditional love is actually not love. That it is a force. Unconditional love is a force. And I don't mean force in a bad way. So many people, I mean force. I mean a law of nature. It is a thermodynamic result. And that love would be so much more powerful if it was conditional. If it was meant for you, not for just anyone else. But we live in a culture where that's not true because we've told each other, no. Unconditional love is the only kind of love there is. It has to be unconditional. And you end up with the largest, most colorful collector you can imagine. That worldwide There is a giant oppression circuit running that allows people to plug into it and feel better by identifying. Remember the definition that Google told you? It says identify, held to celebrate LGBT, sorry you can't see my mouse, identities. That this is an identifier antenna. And those who do not have enough electricity to identify with themselves will look for something to identify with. And the people that run a lot of this system that we call Babylon do not want everyone reproducing. In fact, they want a certain specific type of person to reproduce. And one of those requirements is self-identity. They do not want anyone to reproduce who does not identify with themselves. It's sad that we even have to explain this, but I know that there could be some listeners that do not understand how these letters could somehow be eugenics. What are you talking about, James? This is political eugenics. It's eugenic program through a propaganda signal. Through a signal. And what I'm about to tell you is not meant to sound insensitive. It's meant to just to explain some basic math, explain some basic science, because we've missed this. We've missed this. I would like for us to start from the left. The first letter is L. L stands for lesbian. Oh. Now, I have spent a lot of time around people that identify as lesbians. One of my many of my mentors, actually through life, many of my professors, many of the people I know, many of the roommates I've had, many of the people I've called my closest friends. For whatever reason in my life, I've really related well. This is going to sound so fucked up, but it's just true. If I was to count how many lesbians were around, it's a lot. And I think it's because there's a comfort that we have with each other, because there's not a sexual thing. You can just have a fucking real relationship. And women, man, they fucking teach you how to empathize, like deep trawling. So maybe that's why I like it, but it's just you fucking learn so much from that. And if there's not like a tension thing, bullshit, you could just really have a good relationship. I hate to even caveat that, but I'm not trying to be insensitive, guys. I need you to know that these two are going to scissor. They're going to scissor, okay? They're going to do this, okay? They're going to do this at night. They're going to bump and grind that way. That's all. They're going to go, hey, how's it going? Oh, good. And they're going to go, oh, yeah. And they're going to feel love, and they're going to express it through doing that. And that doesn't make a baby. That you need something else that goes inside. The hoo-hoo and the woo-woo, right? You need a juju or a foo-foo. You need something else in there. And we've just started with L. Now, when I've tried to explain this to others who were identifying with this, they're like, that is absurd. You were so ignorant. Anyone can have a baby. And no, you really can't. I get that you watched something on television that told you that anyone can have a baby, but that's bullshit. That's propaganda. The percentage chance that you are going to have a baby as a lesbian is extremely low, and it is going to involve the most expensive turkey baster you have ever seen. Ever. The entire insemination process is going to take place in a lab underneath the microscope. I get that a lot of us are like, well, what's wrong with that? And that is the part where I want you all to see. Do you understand? Do you understand the eugenics collector now? Can you understand why the people that are running this system would say, if you can't even explain that, should these people reproduce? I am not a eugenicist. I am telling you how the eugenics programs works. I'm explaining to you gaygenics because I want you to understand why the government does this. I realize this is a very controversial topic. I do not mean this in an insulting way. I don't. The chances of a lesbian couple having a baby are basically nil. They're basically nil. The next letter, we'll get to that. The next letter is G. Now, we can argue over what G stands for, but we know it's gay men. That's what it stands for. It stands for men. First women, then men. Because gender matters on these first two letters. These first two letters are based off gender. Okay? If gender doesn't matter, there would not be an L or a G. L, ladies. G, guys. They made it as simple as possible for you. L is for ladies. Scissors. G is for guys. Swords. All right? These guys are swords. They both have swords. Now they can sharpen each other, but they can't have a baby. It just doesn't happen. That's all. These guys, great looking couple, really, really just go-getters, really good people, great homes, great families, all that. They're never going to have a baby. They're swords. That's all. They just have two swords. That's all. It's okay, right? It's okay. These guys, that's the same guy. This is what they have. And they've identified the pride of it. We've isolated the pride of being one of these two letters, LG. And now my entire eugenics program breaks down because even though the largest population, L and G, I've just told you, are basically non-reproductive. They're non-reproductive, guys. I only say basically because there's this weird little thing where you're going to show me a clip that says, here's a man who had a baby. And it's just like, yeah. There's also Bat Boy. Yeah, remember Bat Boy? Yeah, there's also Bat Boy, okay? Do you see a shitload of Bat Boys out running around? No, why not? Because eugenics. That's why. That's why. And that the pride that the corporations are showing you is not pride, guys. It's not. But how do you tell people that? How can you tell someone that, right? If you're identifying with it, it's not gonna take. And in this one part, all these corporations, in this one time, despite everything else they do evil, despite all the white supremacy, the racism, the sexism, the xenophobia, despite the capitalism, despite all this stuff, all these companies on June 1st turn gay. And they're doing it because they think that you're oppressed. That's a collector. It's a guillotine placed in the center of the street that says safe and effective. And anyone is allowed to walk up to the guillotine and read the sign that says, this ends racism. Place your head in this hole, pull rope when ready. That these are eugenics programs. And the only reason why you and me have trouble accepting it is because it's hard. It's a lot to stomach. So we'll cling to things like, well, James, a bi person can have a baby. What are you, stupid? A bi person can have a baby. No, I don't think they can, actually. No. Because I don't think bi is a word. I think bi is a disassociation. That's all. Bi is abstain. Bi is I want to identify, but I can't. I can't fucking pick. I abstain. But I'm here. Identify. I identify as someone who's persecuted because of my abstention. My abstention. To abstain is to not produce. This is eugenics collector, and I'm showing you the math. Trans, T. Oh, man. So many calories. This is the TikTok one. TikTok trans. This is the big one right now. Every single 13-year-old girl is coming out as trans. And she's not, but she identifies that way. And why would you identify that way? Because it's fashionable, the same way you would as a goth, the same way you would as a Breakfast Clubbian, the same way you would as a Seattle grungester, the same you would as a gay man. You can see the energy. You can see what's happening, but only if you can turn up that circuit and actually listen. All of these letters. What does Q mean? I guess it means queer. Is that what it means? If so, why the fuck are all these other letters here? Each of these you could equate to a virus. You could say polio. You could say smallpox. You could say measles. You could say tetanus. You could say all these, and then you could have COVID at the end. And you'd see the same thing. Collectors of victimhood. I'm afraid of the virus. I will collect myself to the antenna. That, oh my God, they've told me I'm a hero because of my fear. Same way with pride. Oh my God, they've told me I'm a hero because I will not reproduce. That if you want to really add up what all these letters means, you will see that it is the end of your genetic line. That to identify with these letters is to commit epigenetic suicide. Epigenetic suicide, psychological eugenics, the most safe and effective propaganda you've ever seen. Sodomy is not just butt sex. Sodomy is any kind of oral sex at all. And that every one of these letters is a sodomatic equation. I don't have a problem with sodomy. Guys, the human body, fuck, man. The clavicles on a woman, those little hip divots on the back, fuck. The body is amazing. And I am not here to tell you that no one should worship the body. Hey, I believe what is worship here? Attention. I believe we worship our bodies. We worship each other's bodies. I wish we worshiped our bodies more. I wish we worshiped each other more. You do not get what you expect here. Well, unless you've been watching a while. These words are redefined to make them popular. Pride now means personal rights in defense and education, according to Google. And the entire thing they claim started in 1966 by Steve Ginsburg. And that in 1969, the Stonewall riots occurred. None of you know what that is. It won't matter because in 10 years, more will know. And more and more. Why? Because it will be fashionable to know. That you, just like I collect prana from the anti-vax people when I say, well, you know about the Cutter incident, right? People are instantly like, ooh, James knows about the Cutter incident. I like that guy. Cutter incident, polio vaccine gave 40,000 people polio. Look it up on Wikipedia. It's no joke. It's not, there's no farce about it. No one even argues about it. That is a collector too. If you feel victimized by the vaccine and I tell you that, you're going to find solace in me. It's true. It's how it works. I'm a collector because I put myself on television. I'm going to call it television. Put myself on television to collect too. I love human witness. I freaking love human witness. I don't have a shame quotient around that though. Everyone else is like, yeah, imagine if people just didn't give a shit about anyone else. And I'm like, yeah, I think we already got that, buddy. I think we got that. So let's stop talking about how cool it would be if no one gave a shit. No. Humanity is not the problem. The fact that you were attracted in one humanity is fucking beautiful. The problem is your electricity is so low that you will find yourself identifying with programs because they're crutches, because they help. We give the disabled money. And do you know what happens to those disabled people when they get money? This has happened at least 6 or 7 times just in my life. Someone tells me, I'm sorry, James, I can't do that because if I take money, I will lose my disability. We call that helping. We call that helping. And that is a special kind of quicksand. If you picture what it's like to be disabled and to have that, that is a special kind of quicksand. It's the same quicksand that you get. If I keep my job for 30 years, I'll get a pension. If I stay in the military for 20 years, I can retire. If I keep this, then I'll have insurance. If I keep that, I'll have this. And we don't have these. We have promises. I used to have a car. It was repossessed 5 years ago. Thank God. I was really depressed about my marriage. I was like depressed for like fucking 3 years. That's what made me start writing, actually. So thank you, ex-wife. Fuck, what was I talking about? Damn, I should not have said that. That's the first time I said that, where I got lost like that. So, man, I don't remember what I was talking about. When you have this collector, you are going to have a road. You're going to have a journey. And all it takes is the pedestal. All it takes is hanging a few flags off a few really big buildings. Ladies and gentlemen, not kidding. This is the John Hancock building. Boom, boom. This is the John Hancock building. Just wanted to point that out. John Hancock building. That this Pied Piper is so colorful. You're looking at it now. It's beautiful. Who would not want to taste the rainbow? James, why are you ruining this for us? Look at the beautiful flag running through the field. Look at it all. James, we're not hurting anybody. We just want to love unconditionally. And I feel awful for even saying this stuff. But I just want you to know how the eugenics works. That's all. I don't have kids. Eugenics worked on me. I was afraid of STDs, and I was afraid of financial, not being able to support my child. Those were the things that kept me out of. The STDs were really, that was kind of a short stint. But like, if I wouldn't have been afraid of that in college, probably would have knocked someone up. Probably would have. I was nervous about it though, because I believed all the propaganda around me. My ability to regurgitate the propaganda, my ability to act like a responsible person, check this out. My responsibility to that propaganda made me epigenetically impotent. This is a nation, it's not even a nationwide, sorry. This is a global campaign for infertility. Guys, 1 in every 6 couples in the United States is infertile. 1 in 6. It is predicted that 1 in 10 will be autistic in 10 years, by the way. World population level of fertility over time from 1950 until now. Look at how much it's fallen. What I'm telling you is not a theory. And some of you have trouble believing this stuff because you want to believe they're stupid. You want to believe that politicians are stupid. Oh, well, that's because they're so stupid. That's how they got elected. And it's so pathetically naive to watch you do that, to say that. These guys are smart as fuck. IQ and EQ are not the same thing, fellas. Ladies, too. Look at the fertility rate. Look at male sperm count. Guys, this isn't by age. It doesn't mean, oh, you get older, of course you... No. Look at the years. In 1989 to now. 33% drop. 32%, sorry. Total fertility rates. This is global. This is global. What you're seeing is global. Now, many of you think the reason why there's pesticides in the food is because of bugs. You're like, yeah, it's because of bugs. The bugs are bad, so they have to spray them. Hey, what are you going to do? Right? And that is what a low electricity thinker would believe. You're operating at 7%. 7 hertz. You're tuning into the truth at 7 hertz. Yeah, well, you know there's pesticides. That's what gives you 7%, right? Versus 0. You know there's pesticides being used. But it's okay because all the people that are using pesticides are doing this because they can't help it. And they're trying as hard as they can to not do it. They're trying as hard as they can to not do it. That's the 7%. But when you look at the infertility, you see, wait a minute, James. If I had more electricity, let's say I turned 7% up to 19%, I see that phosphate production, hey, you're not supposed to be animating like that. Sorry, let's see if I can get this back. There we go. Hey, get back. Sorry. Come on. Will it stop there? No, it won't. Okay, so phosphate production. Look at the spike in world population. Sorry. Look at how the spike in world population dropped. Boom. Right? It's like phosphates were catching up and they finally did it. Along with all the other programs we had. We're under vaccines. Look at where vaccines are, guys. Most of your vaccine schedule kicked in around here. It did. These estimated use in millions. This is the amount of pesticides we're using for crops from 1992 until now. This is worldwide, by the way. It's not just the United States. Countries are not what you think you are, what we think they are, what you think they are. You get it. But James, it's because of the food. No, look. As insecticide use goes down, hectare of corn production goes up. Insecticides don't help plants. Pesticides don't make more crops. It's not because we have so many people that we have to use. Think about how retarded this sounds. But when you're at 7 hertz, this feels good, doesn't it? Doesn't it? At 7 hertz, this feels good. Well, it's because there's so many people, right? There's just so many people everywhere that they had to use pesticides because we couldn't grow food enough, fast enough to feed them all because everyone's just having sex all the time. And what's really happening? Lesbians on a flag in a field. Not gonna have kids. Not gonna happen. Look at these guys. Yeah. They know what's going on. John Hancock. These things are corporate because these things are important. Infertility is important. World population is important for eugenicists. Pesticides are important. I would argue, I've been arguing. You saw Frequency of War. If you missed Frequency of War, you need to get your shit together, friend, and watch that episode 221, Frequency of War. Because I have shown so clearly how these eugenics programs are basically everything. The entire purpose of media, the entire purpose of government is eugenics. And before you freak out and say how cruel that is, so actually go ahead, freak out, say how cruel that is, because you will find solace in other people that are freaking out. You will find other collectors that want you to believe in the Luciferian pedophile agenda that's out to kill you, and you will find solace there. So go for it. This is a free prana economy. I want you to find that wherever you need. It's okay. But this is why it's here. This is why all these companies are doing it. They have a goal. They have a goal. And it's infertility. They want you to come into a lab and pull your sperm out of a vending machine. They want to approve whether you are vaccine safe to have children. And when I say they, I'm talking about the mitosis. I'm not talking about your life. I'm talking about their life. I'm not afraid of what's happening because I can't believe how many calories they've put into separating us. What you're looking at is the 6 stages of mitosis. The first stage is the interphase. You still have a firm nucleic envelope. All that's formed is the centrosomes. And what do? They form 2 towers. Look at step 2, phosphate, prophase. That the 2 towers separate and the polarity begins. In step 3, they've surrounded the entire country, just like Joachim and Boaz, just like the cruise ships Comfort and Mercy. And by separating and polarizing 2 people with the Hegelian dialectic with the 2 towers, you are able to create step 4, metaphase, where people will gather around the equator and split. Rapture, step 5, anaphase. You're watching the rapture right now. You're watching a conglomerate split from its individual. The conglomerates are the hive, the HIV. The singles are the sovereign. They're probably people like you and me. Although you and I could fail in the next phase of mitosis. If you made it past vaccines, congratulations. But I don't think the rapture's over. I think you're watching a beautiful process unfold where we are asked, what do you really believe? What do you really believe? Do you believe that it's wrong to kill people with tax dollars? Or do you actually just pay your taxes? That is a difficult mitosis. If you have a family, I would say it's impossible. I would say it's impossible. Unless you're having that family completely off grid, which, hey, more power to you. But it's hard right now. It's very hard to do that. That becomes its own eugenics program too. Because if you want to survive, you're going to have a baby outside of a hospital. At the moment the baby's born, the vitamin K, the projectile hits. Metal lodged in the body is a projectile. Monday we told you this. You get a Purple Heart for that. The moment you're born, you have shrapnel placed inside a baby. So if you want to reproduce in this world, you're not going to be able to buy products from these people. You're not going to be able to rely on them for safety. That Predator wears a rainbow in June because Predator understands camouflage. Camouflage. The Pied Piper plays its song, and it's full of color. It's full of pride. It's full of carefree. It takes over the world. It takes over the streets. Motor City Pride, New York City Pride, LA Pride, Atlanta Pride, Toronto Pride, Dallas Pride. The Pied Piper plays through the streets. The Pride Parade, Pride, Pied, Pride, Pied, Pied Piper, Pride. You see it yet? If you do, you're at 33 hertz, my friend. You are at 33 hertz. And this is expensive. If you don't have practice at 33 hertz, you're like, fuck, this is hot. Ugh, we're burning a lot of calories. And I'm like, yeah, dude, we're fucking going Mach 1. That's what happens when you're 33. You can fucking see that shit. You're like, man. And that's why I need you to stabilize. Don't go Mark Passio on me. We're about to see that. I brought that up because of a Q&A here coming up. I need you to stabilize. You can use your sense about you and go, yeah, you're right, James. It's not like, seriously, they're not pulling rifles out from a book suppository and just shooting people on the street. Nor are they looking for the most healthy. No, they're actually looking for the people that would even argue that two men can have a baby. That's who they're going for. And the entire time while they're going for it, they're saying, you're a victim, and I care about you. And they're like, oh, that's so great. I'm going to scissor. And it's the softest, quietest kill you've ever seen because no one dies. They just simply stop producing. I don't like how much time I have to put into Pride Month, but every month I feel like I have to. Every month I get yelled at or get kicked off some platform. It's okay, though, because I just need people to see it. I guess I don't need... Yeah, I do. I need it. It's my collector. I'm collecting prana the same way by doing that. I think it's so obvious it bothers me that people don't see it. It bothers me that when I try and explain this to them, I get arguments from Twitter from people just trying to imply that this is homophobic. And this is pedestal phobic is what it is. This is eugenic pedestal phobia. I do not like those things. I do not like using the pedestal to instigate eugenics. A pedestal is why it works, because it's raised up in the town and someone has to climb to the top of the gallows and stick their head in and say, I have pride because I too have been persecuted. How have you been persecuted? Because deep down inside, I identify not as a he, not as a him, not as a she, not as a her, but as a they, or as a gay person. I identify as the letter G. I identify as the letter L. I identify as the letter T. That when you do this, you have the sexiest excuse to disassociate you've ever been given, ever. It is so sexy. And as I said on Monday, abandoning your post looks just like serving others. That this equality is how you abandon yourself. The equality movement is the dissipation of your thermodynamic equation. A male and a female have a thermodynamic equation. That's why they can make a baby. Two males are equal. They have equality. Two negatives, two females, not that females are negative, because negative is a good word here, but two females are equal. They have equality. The opposite of reproduction is equality. Remember that. Remember that as you're watching this stuff. I'm talking about watching it out there. This is easier to do than you think. It is easier to talk people into doing this. All it takes is low electricity. All it takes is low electricity. This fits his prana economy because of the shame he feels from overpopulation, the shame he feels from being a white male, the shame he feels by being sexist, racist, by even having a dick. That his genitals are the source of shame. And that creates what's called, well, a syndrome fetish. We should call it a syndrome. but I'm going to use the word fetish because most of you will recognize that. It creates that syndrome fetish. When you get a badge for being a victim, when you get a check for being disabled, you're wrapping yourself in saran wrap. A electrical field is surrounding you, and you're going to be banging to get outside. It's going to take a lot of work to escape that. A lot. This is the Hancock building. Just if there's ever a time where they're like, fuck, dude, that was funny, it would probably be when they're saying that stuff to each other. Yeah. And I can hear the boardroom meeting because all the cucks on the board are like, we have to do something about all the homosexuals that are being oppressed out there. And then someone's like, well, why don't we hang a gay pride flag? Okay, let's do that. Yeah. And there's only one guy, and his name's like Jason, and he's like, he probably does like the server TPS reports, and he happened to be in the room, and he's like, man, I should tell him that John Hancock, no, I'm not going to tell him that. These guys are just fucking gone. And that happens everywhere. Not only does it happen everywhere, but you end up with the collectors running amok. You end up with the virtue signaling. They identify with the badge. They don't have a head. I didn't cut off the video. Guys, this isn't a joke. This is mainstream clip art from Storyblocks. This isn't like ironic picture of gay men. No, there's nothing ironic about this picture. This is a salute to dissociation. It's a salute to self-abandonment. And it's not abandonment to be gay. It's not abandonment to love someone's body. It's not abandonment to participate in sodomy. It's not. It's not. The abandonment is the identity. It's switching your identity from who you are into one of those letters. That's where the abandonment is. Go back to Greece. Go back to Rome. Go back to all cultures. There's never been, hey, let's kill the homosexuals. No, I get that you're going to say, but they do that in Iran. Dude, shut the fuck up. Everything you hear about Iran is not true. Do you honestly believe that for the past 30 years, they've been 6 months away from a nuclear bomb? Do you really, really think that even though we appointed the Ayatollah Khomeini, even though we put the Shah of Iran in position, even though we've put every single leader in power every single day, that they're legit a free, independent country? Sorry, getting off track there, but come on. Let's do some viewer mail. Debbie, also I'd like to hear more about how to flip my frequency. I guess any details or more discussion. I started with suspending my belief that something is wrong, and that is step one. Flipping your circuit is only going to happen unless you cold boot. You're going to have to cold boot. I'm doing it right now. My web server now has a new IP address. I think I'm putting my house on the market. Every single situation that I've had to, it's either broken by itself or I've had to cut it. I've just had to like sever this and be like, okay, got to restart this or whatever. Turn everything fallow is your best bet. Literally turn your back on the field for a while. On your field. Turn your back on your field for a while. It's going to feel like abandonment. Abandon it. Unleash the power of anti-witness first. You're going to clear the circuit. You're going to let all the residual power leave. You got to get rid of the power first. You have to. It sounds horrible, right? But it requires faith, and this is actually how you flip the circuit. See, you've been running pre-Aquarian on the idea that you have to have power, you have to have power, you have to have power, because power is finite, power is finite, power is finite. There's only so much power, there's not so much power. And you've been doing that because you're walking around saying, my ego sucks, I suck, because of this, because of this, because of that, because of that. As you're seeing through the lies, thank God, as Fauci, as Biden, as Manny Mua comes on, you're seeing through because you can afford more electricity. And that electricity will only serve you if you flip the circuit. You need to flip the circuit. If there's an obelisk in your house right now, say in a fish tank, lower it down. Lower it down for 3 days. Doesn't have to be today. It can be whenever you watch this. Do it before the solstice. 3 days. 3 days. Allow the resurrection to take place. The animism does it all. But James, that's just symbolic. Yeah, I know. Stop saying just and symbolic. Stop saying those. Those two words do not go together. That is 7 hertz thinking. I need you up to 33 hertz. Some of you are freaking out by 33 hertz. Good. That's the threshold. Right? Me getting you afraid of 33 hertz is me putting up a guillotine that's safe and effective as to why you shouldn't watch James True. If 33 hertz scares you, right here, you can join Owen. His head's already in the basket. There's a threshold. Owen's threshold was way the fuck down here. It was, yeah, Owen, Greek is noctiferous, means the rising of a sun. Reading Freemasonry with Marty Leeds, right? Boom, now you're here. If you can actually read that, if you can actually spend 5 minutes reading that, you're like, wait a minute, there's no like baby cult killing in here. This is like sovereignty stuff. What's up with that, right? I know, that's another beautiful threshold. Guys, 9/11 was a threshold. It's a threshold. It's able to, when you put that chisel in stone, it's got to be deep in the ground, 6 stories deep. It's got to be deep in the ground. And you got to hit it with a hammer that's so hard the vibrations just crack it apart. That's how mitosis starts. That's how this process begins. Before 9/11, we were interphase. We were G2. We were centrosomes. We had the central idea that the nucleus of DC was stable and it would never fall. And 2 towers came and split. And the prophase began, and people started to go, what the fuck's going on? The next thing you knew, we noticed we were surrounded in phase 3. And then we got scared. And scare is beautiful. It's a beautiful energy. We talk about it in dojo. Scare is the yellow belt, and you want to master that fear because you can alchemize that into anger. But James, anger is evil. No, it's not. It's only evil when you're here. This guy's not angry. He's not afraid. He's none of those things. He gave up his epigenetic line to be on the pedestal. You can see his coat of many colors.
If you were to be stranded on a desert island and you had to bring one product with you, a skincare product that you might really love, what would it be?
Some sunscreen.
Colors.
There we
You
go.
can't see Biden's colors. But you can see. We're going to cover the rapture again this summer, the revelation. If you haven't read Quantum Rapture, most of you won't because you don't want to read. You understand that revelation is the mitosis, but revelation never tells you what happens to the third party. That in the rapture, the people that are the most devout, the Puritans, are taken to worship God forever after they are purchased from the beast. After. And the ones that fell were the ones that were purchased from the beast that weren't chosen. Both sides, Republican and Democrat, both sides of this rapture, North and South, George versus George, red, blue, both sides are gone. The most devout and the most profane, what they both had in common is they believed what the Lord told them, either in the positive or the negative. Yeah, guys, you have to understand that to heed is to believe or to anti-believe. That the only defense about that is more closer to a white belt. It's a placing of an ignorance field, which says I don't believe or disbelieve it. I just don't have any witness for you. That in Revelation, not once is there a paragraph, not once is there a sentence promising, hey, if you don't choose either one of these, here's what happens to you. Why? Because the Bible did not want to put a collector for anyone who wanted sovereignty. Because sovereignty is what keeps you on earth. You're not raised up to worship and sing the songs of praise for eternity, nor are you placed into, all the Revelation doesn't say the lake of fire, but nor are you placed into the incinerator where you are recycled. There are grounds at the bottom, crystal salt grounds, and they will not be drank, nor will they be scooped off with a knife at the top with the cream. The cream is the most loyal. The cream is the one that buys it all. They take the vaccine, they put the condom on the banana, they run through the field with their flag. They are the cream. They will not be consumed. They will be discarded. Most will be the juice. They need more. They need more alchemy. They need more heat. They will be taken to another place to do that. This is the exchange, the hermetic exchange of alchemy. That there is a salt, there is a crystal at the bottom, the grounds of the coffee, the thick stuff, that no matter how much heat you put on it, these fuckers are just done. And when you pull them under the light, they're diamond, they're silica, they're silver, they're gold, they're copper, they're bronze. They're actually not bronze, they're elemental. They're elementally pure. They don't need any more vitriol. They have a different place to go. Flipping this circuit is going to require faith from you. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Moon Typhoon, as a drummer, this is about Monday's episode because it was about music. As a drummer, this video is very interesting. I played it in a Pentecostal church and noticed that I can conjure up a speech in tongues by playing with a certain vigor. It felt evil to manipulate the congregation, so I don't do that. So great comment. Moon, I think that you need to check yourself on that last sentence. It felt evil to manipulate the congregation, so I don't do that. I think that by you playing them the Pied Piper song, that is giving them the opportunity to simply express what's inside of themselves. And by expressing what's inside of themselves, something very powerful happens. You were able to witness the consequences of what's inside you. And that I used to call, speaking of You're a Male actually, that I used to do what the 51 Project does, which by the way always has a great comment. He quotes Harry Patch, who says war is murder and nothing else. And that I say to Harry, no. Harry is operating at 7 hertz because Harry's a veteran. Harry would never be able to say that what he did was consensual homicide. So he calls it murder. But it's consensual homicide. But James, what about the draft? If you look at the episode on Monday, you will see so many articles. They maybe flash too fast on the screen, but so many articles of the fake draft. That the way that they were able to bring people in to enlist is by saying there's going to be a draft. And if you do not sign now, you will not get a free horse. They never give you a horse, but it's usually like you will not get $60. You will have to provide your own shoes. And you can say, but they were tricked. But this is nature. This is nature. And camouflage is the beauty of nature. It is what makes nature so beautiful is the camouflage. The camouflage is where you get the color. It's where you get all the color comes from the hiding of predator. Great horned owl, one of the most deadly raptors around, seriously. Sharp beak, but even worse, these talons of just evil. The only way to be at a great horned raptor is like that far away. You have to be right next to them. It's the only way they can't see you. If you're 3 inches away, you are going to lose a digit, my friend. You are going to lose a digit. So when you go in, you go right in. And they don't know what to do. predators too close, the electricity's too high, they turn into, well, they're just putting pesticides because they don't have enough food. Do you see how this works? All of your understanding, all of the way you navigate the world is based on the amount of electricity you have to render what's actually happening and to embrace whether or not it's comfortable. Humblescape, the truth is always and will be Jesus Christ. I think that that humble is at 18%. Because I think that this is what I mean by we're not done with the rapture yet. It's easy I can look at Abraham and Isaac, that story, and I can see right away, yeah, hey God, if you want me to kill my son, you're just going to have to fucking kill me. I am fully grounded in my adrenals. I love my kid. I'd rather burn in a lake of fire. And that some people, maybe Humblescape, I don't know. I don't want to speak for him. But some people will see that and go, well, you disobeyed God, so you should be bad. And that's the lesson of obedience. The lesson of obedience isn't just to be obedient. No. The lesson of obedience is to learn and to pass out of, to pass through the gauntlet of obedience. There's lessons for everyone. It's the Jacob's ladder, right? You begin by being obedient. You begin by feeling how good that feels. You think it's because of your obedience, but actually it's because you're able to curtail yourself. It's because you're able to limit yourself. It's because you're able to put yourself in a lane and stay there. That feels good. Why? Because you're losing less dissonance. There's less electricity being shed, so you naturally feel good. Now you think it's because I feel good because I'm being obedient to God, and that's fine, because God put up a beautiful collector in the Old Testament. That collector was for obedience, but he didn't want you to be too obedient. But he can't say in the Bible, thou must be obedient, but not toeth obedience, for that would be cuckish too. That's way too fucking hard. That the hardest tests you give are never multiple choice. They're never, I'm about to give you a test now. You simply discover. There's stories of natives who go down to the river, and the cavalry's told, shoot everyone who drinks from their lips. If they place their lips in the water, shoot them. If they place their hands in the water, don't. That in some fucked up, retarded way, this is how we're going to eugenicize this nation. That we need to cleanse it of the savage, to raise up the civilized, because we believe in the collector called civilization. The most fucked up thing we ever did was go into a fort. The moment we invented a fort, we all started basically masturbating. I don't say that to be crude, although this episode is definitely already there. I inside a fort, now everyone's kind of like, oh man, yeah, it's scary out there. Yeah, it's totally scary. Yeah, fucking, oh God, it could kill us. Yeah, it's terrible. That the civilization is you coming to predators' knees, saying, hey man, you're the fucking boss. Can I come in? Can I just serve you? Can I be your Rizzo? Can I be that little puppet on Jabba the Hutt, right? That guy. Can I just be one of those? And Jabba says, yes. Yes, you can. And I will only eat you, Rizzo, when you're old. And Rizzo's like, so all I have to do is just laugh like a fucking hyena whenever you say something. He's like, about you, God, yeah. And no matter how fat you get, I have to tell you look beautiful. Rizzo says, okay. If that guy's name's not Rizzo, sorry. Maybe I'm confusing that with a Muppet. I think it's Rizzo, though. It should be Rizzo if it's not. If you're a male. What else we got? Humblescape. I'm under the impression that the New Testament is telling you that the living cross is inside of you. I think that's why the Gospel of Thomas and the rest of the Apocrypha are purposely left out, because at Nicaea, at the Council of Nicaea, no one did this to be evil. At the Council of Nicaea, they were like, can we get the world up to 33 hertz? Oh my God, I'm the living cross. Get that shit out of here. What are you kidding? We're going to lose half the congregation. People are like, I'm not the living cross. I'm not the living cross. Hey, I don't want to be a living cross. And they're like, hey, we'll just take it out. We'll just take it out. We'll just take it out. And everyone started to sit back down. And that's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Because when you're ready, the living cross is waiting for you. And if you're never ready, it's not. That's the beauty of the consent yellow brick road. This hermetic, unfinished pyramid, by the way, has a step for everybody, and no one's forced. Each step is a consent. Each one. It's beautiful. Did that one too? Teese. Love this guy. James, you do not believe in unconditional love, or do you now after the flip of the circuit? So, unconditional love. I don't think that's love. I think love is a TCP/IP connection. What the fuck is that? Every internet protocol is a TCP/IP connection. It is a pre-agreement. It is not unconditional. No. If you had unconditional TCP/IP connections, your browser would still be trying to download the last page you hit. It's because of the TCP/IP connection that both of you have agreed to a protocol, and that protocol is a prana economy that runs inside of love. And that you as a human are not capable of unconditional love, which is actually what makes you so awesome, not what makes you bad. Unconditional love is gravity. Unconditional love is levity. The love you have for your child is not unconditional, I'm sorry. It's beautiful. It's some of the most powerful love I've ever seen. I can't compete with that. But it's conditional because it's your child. That child is the time capsule of you. That's the condition of your love. Your child loves you not unconditionally. He loves you because you sustain its life. It has no choice. It doesn't really know. You are its gravity. That's not unconditional love. The love of siblings is definitely not unconditional. I'm not even going to stay there. The love of parent to child, we just explained. The love of child to parent, we explained. The love of humanity, the fourth level of love. This is like Freemason love. You will have to be the bad guy. I will have to be the evil Luciferian pedophile in Owen Benjamin's eyes because I'm telling him a frequency that hurts his ears. Oh, he gets angry. And so he has to do that. I say that anyway because I have a long line of people that have decided I'm evil, I'm horrible, I'm terrible, and I just got used to that a long time ago. It doesn't bother me. I have a conditional love for humanity that allows me to hopefully rise above that rebuke and just keep going. But it's still not an unconditional love. My love for that is because of humanity itself, because of my own experience. Unconditional love is gonna look like a law of nature. Thermodynamic chemistry is unconditional love. That's unconditional love. And we've been taught that this kind of love is the only love that should matter. That this kind of love is all about unconditions. And that acceptance is love. Unconditional, blind acceptance with zero hesitation. The loving of the Pied Piper music, no matter what river it takes you to, no matter how much you drowned. Pride, pied, pride, pied, pride. They want you to see it. They want you to have kids, but they only want the ones that have kids that are completely immune. It's funny how it works. Completely immune to the propaganda. If all it takes is just a little bit of propaganda, you're slowing everyone else down. You're hurting the species. And they don't want that. They don't want that. And they will collect you. They will collect you until they get that. Spells of truth. My Pied Piper was video games. Video games are by far the strongest Pied Piper. And I think that you're absolutely correct, but I want you to understand that I think you're making a mistake if you're saying this. It's more for everybody's spells, but if you're thinking that video games are therefore bad, remember, Owen Benjamin, all sex is bad. Books should be burned. All these things where you're like, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad. You're actually still identifying with the collector. The collector is victimhood. It's the victimhood that you're identifying with. And I would say to you that if you truly understand what the Pied Piper's doing is it's resonance healing. It's resonance healing through witness. It's saying, hey, is there any desire for you to go to war? And you're like, I don't know. And then the tuning fork guy goes, let's find out. And you're like, oh my God, I want to kill a guy. I want to kill a guy. And now you can witness that. Now you can consent to homicide with others that also want to witness that. And your salt, who you are, if you survive, has learned a lesson that it will never forget. And that would mean video games are good, not bad, because they're allowing things to come to the surface. They're allowing things. The Pied Piper is tuning you for your good, not for your bad, for your good. Which brings us to Mark Passio. James, are you familiar with Mark Passio? He's claiming that a lot of this is a cult mockery. Do you think we are winning or losing this battle collectively? Short answer is Mark thinks all is bad. I think all of this is perfect. Mark sees this as all broken. I see all this as a perfect scaffolding fractal where everyone is allowed to have a shared free will experience inside of phantasmal goo called ether. And the reason why I cannot believe in vaccines and you can believe in vaccines is because we have something called lies. We have this gelatinous substance, like dark matter substance between us that you probably fear a little bit too much, and I get it. That's why you watch the show. And Mark is very scared of that. He thinks that the lies, like Crow actually, thinks that the lies mean evil. And there's no evil so we can have lies. But no, the lies are good. The lies are good. The lies are giving you the ability to hide your eyes from someone else's truth. That when I go in and tell you, hey man, Noctiferous, Luciferus, this is just the transitioning of oh no, you're fucking lying. You're fucking liar. You're a fucking liar. James is a fucking liar. That is a field. Boom, that's a field. Yeah, James, everyone who listens to James, you're going to hell. Boom, that's another field, right? Yeah, that James guy, he's a fucking totally, he's CIA. Remember that? Snake Jones. Woo. Beth Martins, he told everyone I faked my cancer. Woo. Everyone is putting up these lie barriers because it makes you feel comfortable. I'm safe because that guy's a liar. That dude rolled in here with all that truth, but it's okay because he's a liar. Lies are crucial. That's why I say I have to rape victimhood. Because I know how trauma programming works. It's a cream pie. You can't say to someone in the Bible, and I'm going to give you a cream pie on the next page. Cream pie. Aren't you surprised? No, I wasn't surprised at all. You told me it was coming. It didn't work at all. That's part of how you get the signal in. How do you inject a vaccine? The same way you inject a bullet. You convince someone that it's for the greater good to go out there and load this syringe, I mean rifle, with a bullet, I mean an adjuvant, and to stick it into that person's arm intramuscularly. And don't worry about them. They will get a Purple Heart medal for it. Don't worry about their immune system. This is saving all of us. That both those run on the same thing, which is a collector that was built on bullshit propaganda. And those people are not immune. They're not immune. You need to watch the stream Monday if you didn't see it. This is a global eugenics program, and it's not trying to kill everybody. It's not. It wants the people that look at pesticides and go, yeah, I think they're just poisoning the food. I'm not going to eat that food. I think my tax dollars are just going to Zionism. I'm not going to pay these taxes. They're looking for that, and this shit's hard. You will be sharpened by the stone. Why? Because you are the stone that's uncut. What is the Freemasonry term? Marty's probably typing in. I'm not saying he's even watching, but it's like you are the uncut. You are the uncut. You're the stone being finished, being perfected or something. We are tumbled like rocks till smooth, till we are smooth. We tumble each other, and we need the frequency of the Pied Piper to bring out who we are. We need the witness of others to help us see. Medicine is the focus of witness. That's all it is. That's all it is. The moment you can see the source, it heals itself. Awareness is its own healing. All right, that's in for viewer mail. Let's close the show out. It's been a little bit late. Sorry about that. And yeah, thank you, Gaia. Monday's show's right there linked if you missed that. And we love, thank you, Sarcastic Warlock. We'd love to have you on Patreon right now. We are doing some cool stuff. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it. Have yourself a great weekend. And yeah, hey, doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't. It doesn't have to. Where's the other one? It doesn't have to be this way. The rapture, my friends. The rapture. And we're just getting started. Get those toes up. Welcome to the jungle. It's beautiful out here. Come out of the fort. Come out of the fort. The fort's bad. See all those glory holes? You're going to have to put your mouth in one of those if you want to be in the fort. Don't go in the fort. You guys know that in the forts, they were literally killing people for trying to interact with the Indians. They were like, if you run away from the fort, we will kill you. That's not safe. That's not civilization. That's a fetish for victimhood. That's masturbating in civilization because you're scared and you like it that way. It feels good that way, right? All right. Have a good one.